Hi, I'm Chad with Mastercam, and in this video, we're going to look at the advantages of using the Model Chamfer toolpath. Model Chamfer is a very powerful model-based toolpath used solely for creating 2D chamfers. Before looking at the new Model Chamfer toolpath, let's take a look at how we would create a chamfer operation before the Model Chamfer toolpath was added. Before Model Chamfer, we would have used the standard 2D contour toolpath. Contour chamfering requires the user to either chain the lower edge or the theoretical sharp corner of the target chamfer. Sometimes this would require deleting chamfers from a finished solid body with the model prep tools, which is an extra step. The chamfer on this model we will be cutting is simple enough that we can just chain the lower edge. I'll make sure that my chamfer tool is selected. This warning appears because chamfer tools aren't compatible with depth cuts or multi-passes. On the linking parameters page, I need to set the depth value to the top of the chamfer, even though I selected the lower edge as our chain. On the cut parameters page, I'll set the stock to leave value to 0 and change the contour type to 2D chamfer. If I didn't have a print that showed what the chamfer width should be, I could right-click in the field and choose distance between 2 points. I would select the arc center for the upper and lower edges to measure the vertical distance between them. This method only works because the chamfer is 45 degrees. If we generate the toolpath, it looks like the motion is nice and clean, but once I double check it and verify with the color loop feature active, I can see that the chamfer toolpath is gouging the part on the entry and exit. I could go back into my toolpath parameters and shorten my lead in and lead out, which would keep the toolpath from gouging, but now I'm not machining the entire chamfer. Trying to cut this full chamfer with a 2D contour toolpath is time consuming and is not going to provide me with the results I need. Let's cut that same chamfer but use the new Model Chamfer toolpath and see how much simpler and more powerful it is. I'll click Select Chains to enter the chaining dialog and select the upper edge of the existing chamfer. When I return to the toolpath parameters, I can see that the solid model field was automatically filled with the solid model that I'm working with. I can now tell Mastercam how close I'd like to get to the solid model without gouging. I'll enter 10 thousandths since I want to chamfer as much of this edge as possible. Again, I'll select my chamfer tool, and since the model already has a chamfer on it, I can enter a chamfer width of 0. If I were selecting a sharp model edge to chamfer or edge break, I'd enter the desired chamfer size here, just like in the contour toolpath. Since I chained the top edge, I can now take advantage of the top offset field. By activating this field and minimizing the value inside, I can ensure that my operation will use the most effective area of the tool's cutting edge, and I'll reach as much of the chamfer as possible. This linking page looks very different from the contour toolpath since linking is set automatically based on the model. I won't make any changes to linking at this time, so now I'll generate the toolpath and look at it and verify. With only the one manual entry of the top offset value, I have a gouge-free toolpath that machines as much of the chamfer as possible within the parameters of the toolpath. But I can still reach more of that edge with a small change to the top offset and my lead in and lead out. I'm going to copy the model chamfer operation I just created and modify the copy so we can compare the two and verify. In the cut parameters of the copied operation, I'll reduce the top offset to 10 thousandths and change my lead in and lead out radius to 5%. I'll generate the toolpath, and now we can compare the difference and verify. We can clearly see that the last chamfer toolpath reached much farther than any of the previous chamfers, but more importantly, there are no gouges. Now that our parameters are set and I know I'm chamfering as much of the edge as possible, I can easily add all my chamfers to this operation. In the geometry field of the Model Chamfer toolpath, I'll right-click and choose Rechain All. With edge selection active, I can shift-click the starting edge of all 3 lower chamfers, and the updated solid chaining interface will automatically propagate the selections along the tangent edges. I can also select the upper edge of the top chamfer. If any one of these chamfers is a different size, or if I decide to change the size of a chamfer on the model later, the model chamfer toolpath will always machine the correct size chamfer without any gouges.